Next project, I'm doing some work for a friend with some Honda CB750 frames. These are all 754 frames, so single overhead cam frames. This is a K series frame, and these are both F1 frames. You can see this F1 frame has been chopped up. Someone's stolen some pieces out of it. We've got that there purely for spare parts. The main thing that's happening here is he wants to make a K series bike with an F1 rear end, so disc brake rear. And what he wants to do is retain and use most of the Honda factory parts, such as rear master cylinders, rear brake reservoirs and brake levers. So all the factory stuff that comes off these frame mounts here is coming off this F series frame. And this K series frame, where you can see someone's chopped it here previously and taken the rear foot peg and exhaust hangers off and done some things to that. We'll be cleaning this up. We'll be cutting these, what's left of these mounts off here. And then we'll be taking these two hangers off the back of this F series frame. We'll be putting them onto the K series frame. That way he can run an F1 swing arm, rear wheel and disc brake. We'll also be chopping out this section of the frame here. You can see that someone has cut off the center stand mounts as well as the spring mount here. So rather than try and get in here with an angle grinder and try and unstitch all this, you could do it, but it'd probably be far easier. Since we're already chopping this frame, we're going to come in here and take this section out of this frame here. Just take this whole thing. We're just going to cut through here with a 5-inch cutting disc here and here. We'll do the same on this one. We're going to remove this piece. Then I'll get on the lathe and I'll manufacture up 2 slugs of solid round bar that'll slide inside the tubing. We'll put the tubing in and then slide the slugs sideways to, go between the two. Then I'll plug weld it on either end, and then we'll weld the seam up in the center. So that'll get done on both ends. That way it'll get rid of these dodgy mounts, and we'll have a spring mount and center stand mount back on the K series frame, as well as F1 mounts on that frame. So sadly, an F series frame is getting chopped up to do that, but this frame is a bit beaten up anyway. It's if you come up this end up here, the front steering stop's already been busted off this frame, as well as someone's already cut through here to do top end maintenance on their CB750. You can see where they've cut it and then re-welded it, and they've done the same here. So it's not in good condition as such, this frame. I mean, it could be used, but it's his frame. He wants to do what he wants to do, so he wants a K series cafe racer with a disc brake rear. So this is the way we're going to go about it. So what I'll be doing very shortly is just marking everything up, taking some measurements. Once I've cut these hangers off this frame, I'll take some measurements, but I won't have any reference or datum points over here. My own F series frame. So if I need to reference anything, I can come over to this frame here, such as distances from center of shock down to center of here, and I can reference this to properly mount and set these up on the K series frame. So I can use this as a datum point once I go to tack everything onto the K series frame. So it should all go ahead without too much drama. Right now though, I need to go and start marking out and deciding where I'm going to cut things off and mark out the tube. I'll get that done. I'll jump on the lathe, machine up some slugs. Yeah, we'll come back once I've done that and we'll have a look at things, see where we're going. Alright, so I've just finished preparing removing parts from this K2 frame. So the center stand mount I've removed. The old foot peg mounts that were sitting on here about 50 millimeters long, they've been taken off. I've flap disced it back as close as I could, and then strip disced all the paint off. You'll notice where the original mounts were on this frame. You can see where someone's gouged in with a grinder at some point, and you can also see someone's welded this piece of tubing that was on here. They've stick welded it on. They've had a bit of slag, a bit of inclusion there, so a bit of slag there that I'm going to have to dig out with a needle gun or get a scrubber in there and pick that out. We can do a better job than that. What we'll do is we'll dig that out, clean that up, I'll weld that back up, then I'll flap disc that back again. Same over here. You can see they've had a small inclusion or bit of porosity just there, and you can see what they've actually done. That white coating in there, that is body filler. So around these bits of tubing that were welded on the frame in these 2 down tubes, they had put a bit of body filler or high build primer around them to try and probably hide some the marks in the frame or whatever. You can see here as well the marks in the frame here where someone's ground it back and they've gone a bit A little bit deep, couple of little flat spots here, so don't ever use a grinding disc on a frame if you can avoid it. It's not heavy wall tubing, so whatever you need to take off, say you're taking off this stand mount here, you take it off and give yourself a millimetre or two to spare. Then get an aggressive, like I've done here, get a 40 grit flap disc and take it back with that, or even less, go to a 120. You know, you do what you need to do, go less and less and finer. Don't hit it with an angle grinder, because you'll hit the frame, and once you've done that, it's sort of hard to build that back out. That's why they've used filler, to try and tidy it up. But we'll dig these out. I'll get the MIG welder, I'll just spot weld them, put a nice tack on there, and I'll flap disc them back. They'll be good. Once I've done that, then I can start to position the mounts on these down tubes. A little bit more work, but that's okay. This center stand mount's been taken out. You can see I've also stripped the paint off here. I'll get the needle gun in here. There's a little bit of corrosion in here. We'll clean that out. I want that as clean as I can. I'll deburr this as well. The new tube, I think it's in the workshop at the moment. It fits in here nicely. What I'll do now is I'll drill like an 8mm hole here, then down on this side another 8mm hole, and then when the new tube goes in, there'll be an 8mm hole here and one here, and when I've got the slugs in there, I'll plug weld it there and plug weld it there, and then seam weld it right around. So we're getting there slowly. If you just come in here, you can see I've just got a scriber. I don't know if the light in here is really very good. I've just picked at that bit of slag there, and you can see that penetrates entirely through, all the way through. So what I'll do is get like a 6mm or 1/4 inch drill, and I'll drill a nice hole here, and it gets rid of any impurities around this area. I'll drill a hole and then I'll weld it back up. Also on this side where it had the bit of body filler in here, I've picked away at that with the scriber, and it's just gone straight through the frame. So always when you're doing frame modifications, watch out for little bits like this where you can see someone's hit it with a grinder, and you know, like I said, it gets thin quickly. I mean, that'll be fine just there, but you can see, like I said, someone's hit this with a stick welder, and instead of coming back and doing it nicely, and anyway, we'll get a 6mm drill, we'll go through there, and we'll do a nice tack on there. We'll just get the MIG out, and I might get the TIG and just wind the TIG right down. But I reckon I'll just get the MIG welder, it should be fine. That's all these frames were standard, we'll just MIG weld it together from new. So we'll just wind the voltage right down on the MIG, we'll just give it a nice spot weld there, and same on the other down tube. Once I've done that, I'll hit it with a flap disc, knock it back. Then I can start to position everything up on there. So these are the side rails, so they'll mount on the back of the motorcycle like so. I've taken the paint off those. I do need to deburr them yet, just internally. They're ready to go on. I just need to knock the paint off this one as well. And you see this will go, it's in here somewhere like so. That'll fit, just firm fit, which is what you want. Somewhere, it's just going to roll out, but there you go. So somewhere like that, I just need to clock it, orientate it in the right position, and I've got the frame over there to use as a reference. Like I said, we'll do a hole here, here, here and here. We'll plug weld it, we'll probably do one on each side actually. Two there, two there, two there, two there. I just need to machine up a couple of, say 20mm slugs for each side. Slide those in and then slide them back. Plug weld it and then seam weld it, and it should be fine. Ideally, when we seam weld it, we want to have a little gap between these two bits of tubing just so we can fill it in with the weld. So I may even take a little bit more off that yet. What I'll do first though, I'll do these mounts here. I think it'll be easier to get in here and weld, possibly around the back of there. If this is out of the way, I might be able to get in through here somehow, but we'll see. I'll have to have a look. Okay, so you can see this is the K2 frame, and these are the F1 brackets that I've well, this side's tacked on, mocked up at the moment. This side's fully welded out. So what I've done is from the top shock mount, I've measured down how far it needed to go. I've used some like dowel pins through here, through the brake pivot, and then through this exhaust hanger or whatever this is here. Long like dowel pins or bolts, and then I've just lined it up and clocked it in orientation with the frame. So it's clocked correctly this way. We've got our distance correct here. I've tacked it all in place, and I've tacked this one on. I've put a through bolt right through here from one to the other to try and align this. Then I've measured this one off the F1 frame, the distance from the shock hanger down to here, so the distance is the same. And then I've just gone and set the width from here. I had to knock this one outboard a bit just with a soft hammer. just to try and get the width the same as the F1. Everything seems to be going alright. The 2 holes that I had to fill in earlier, they worked fine. I just got a drill through those and just had to fill those in with a MIG. This has all been MIG welded on here. You can see there's a bracket here. I'm not sure, I can't remember what that's for. I know there's a master cylinder and brake lever and whatever all mounts in here, so that's all tacked back on, correctly measured down the right distance, again, as the F1 frame is standard, it's the same distance down from there to there, and same distance out from the frame tube, so all orientated correctly. So all I have to do now is weld out these 2 bits of tubing here. Pretty much those 2 components will be done, and then I can start to work on this main down tube down here. I'll need to hop on the lathe, as I said earlier, machine up some slugs and just drill some holes through here for plug welding. So I'll jump back on the welder, I'll weld these out, and yeah, then I'll be on the lathe and I'll machine those up. Welded this one on as well. It's a bit thin in places where they've ground the old mounts off. I've had to stitch it in places like stop start a few times. You can see here I had to come out sideways a little bit just to fill in that little pinhole. It blew a tiny hole here, so I just had to wait for it to cool off and then just tack a couple of times, but got it in the end. But you can see down here I had to stop start a few times as well. Just this material is not that thick. It's been ground back a few times and a few other people played with it prior to me getting here. But if you look over this side over here, you can see a lot of the welds are quite acceptable. We're quite happy with that, so they'll dress up nicely. If the client wants to clean these up, I mean, you can paint straight over those. Whatever he wants to do, there's a few little BBs here and there. I'll get a cold chisel in here and just knock a few little BBs off that are on the metal. I think he'll be quite happy with it. So I also drilled some holes through here and through here and there, and we welded it in, tacked it in place. We sat the frame flat on the bench and we just clocked it up with a bevel box on here to make sure it was the same as the factory frame, so that this was orientated or clocked in the right position. And then we just welded it out basically through the holes. We plug welded it onto the 25mm round bar, solid round bar that we put in. We had a 10mm overlap into the tubing on either side. Did that and then just did a quick run around the perimeter weld. I didn't want to spend too long on that and burn it away. It's pretty thin material, pretty thin tubing, so it's not the prettiest weld. I mean, it's okay, but I did a few stop starts because it's hard to get a nice clean run all the way around, or the client is going to have to, if he wishes, come in and just dress those down a touch, but he can do that before he sends it to powder. I've gone in here with the sandpaper disc and just basically little BBs or whatever that was stuck on here I've knocked off as best I can, and used a cold chisel as well in the awkward places. Knocked the BBs off and it's pretty much done. You can see that I've put these F-Series bracketry onto the K-Series frame. I've just hit it with some etch primer to stop any flash rusting. I think my friend's going to be quite happy with how they're situated on there, so we should be able to mount his foot peg and rear brake master cylinder and all that sort of stuff on there now. So you can also see, if you have a look in this part of the frame, you can see the center tube's been put in. It's been welded in as described earlier in the video. I need to go in and dress these welds down now, which I'm about to go and do. Just grind them back flush so it just looks a bit tidier. Once that's done, K-Series side covers and oil tank, and I need to re-weld or remanufacture the mounting points inside the triangle here for both sides of the frame, just to make sure that we can put the standard side covers, oil tank, etc. back into the frame from both sides. So I need to do that yet. You can also see on the front of the frame I had to take 2 brackets off the front of the frame where there was 2 mounts for a police style crash bar. So they're now gone and it's been ground back or flap disced back and then hit with a Scotch-Brite disc, and I'll probably hit those with etch primer in the meantime just to stop flash rusting. I don't really have to, but I will. That's about it for now. So in the next video you'll see me manufacture these mounts for the side covers and the oil tank, which will be situated in this area. There are 2 mounts currently in this area. I believe they'll have to go, and I'll have to get some one of his other K-Series frames to use as a template. and like I said, an oil tank and the side covers, just to match everything up, position everything where it needs to be. And we'll get that done on the next video. Thanks for watching.